Watch out, it's the warning track.
Welcome back to another episode of The Warning Track. I'm your host, Clayton McMahon. We're recording a little later than we normally do, but this is just after 2 o'clock on Wednesday, April 15th. In a way, it works out because we'll talk about Kevin McGonigal and his extension. I'm a Tigers fan, so very happy about that. We'll kind of get into him and J.J. Weatherholt, who still is having a pretty good start to the year himself. But yeah, little I guess schedule change, you could say, with Mike back, but we're working through it. Still going to try to do the Warning Track every weekday, and we'll air at the same time and all that good stuff. You can see the program schedule on Wayne.com for Wayne 15 Plus. It goes a couple days out. But yeah, closing carousel, you know what it is. We'll be talking about this in late August. We'll probably still be relevant in some way, as well as some injury updates. Not really any good ones today. And yeah, just as well as haven't had quite enough time on the show to kind of talk about waiver wire. You know, if somebody's hurt, somebody's underperforming, who do you pick up, that kind of thing. We'll hopefully dive into a little bit of that. And so we'll just get in right with the closing carousel immediately here. First player I want to look at is Emilio Pagan. Now, this could be nothing, could be something. He actually got the save Tuesday night against the Giants in a 2-1 victory, scoreless inning. But he tweaked his hamstring. Actually, it looks like this is a new note since I did my notes this morning. Mark Sheldon of MLB.com reports his hammy grabbed a little bit. I think it was like literally the final pitch. So we need to check him out. This is a quote from Terry Francona. His hammy grabbed a little bit, so we need to check him out. He's getting looked at right now. Hasn't had quite the best start to the season. 4.82 ERA. You can see on your screen here, WHIP almost 1.3. So I wouldn't say he was in danger of losing his job. As a matter of fact, his last 6 outings have been scoreless, so it was just a couple ones early on. But definitely need to pick up Tony Santillan if you haven't already. He was already rostered by Ethan and Hundo. I literally had him in this league just a few days ago. Yeah, you were the chosen one, so I dropped him Saturday. This was merely a speculation. I mean, this was before he got hurt, so kind of stinks. I will also say that if Pagan does miss time, I think whenever he comes back, he's going to take the closer role. So not that I wouldn't pick up Santillan. I just think he's more of a temporary source of saves. But he's been off to a fantastic start this year. 8 innings, no earned runs, 10 Ks. So definitely scoop him up if you haven't yet. He's already 17% rostered in Yahoo. So probably about half that in ESPN. So should be available in the vast majority of leagues to this point, just for some speculation. Getting into the Nationals, just when I thought the Nationals maybe had it solidified, Gus Varland picks up his second save in the last 3 days. He got one April 12th against the Brewers, and then last night, Tuesday night, against the Pirates. It's been his second straight save opportunity. And we've seen Clayton Beeter pick up 2 saves. Last night, he came in for the final 2 outs at the bottom of the 8th inning before Gus Varland came in. Gus Varland doesn't really have the best numbers so far. 4.5 ERA, 1.5 WHIP, 7 Ks across 6 innings. I mean, nothing spectacular. But I think he's worth rostering. He's still only 1% rostered in Yahoo, which means there might not even be a soul alive on ESPN that has him. I don't see how he's not a speculation pickup at this point. I can't really say I'm super excited about him, but he's gotten each of the last 2 saves. I still think Clayton Beeter is worth rostering. I still have him on my Hundo team, the ESPN one. And he's put up fine numbers, 3.24 ERA, 108 WHIP, 6 Ks across 8 innings. Don't like the walks. Has the same amount of walks as strikeouts, but he got a save on the 11th. Last one before that was March 29th. It's one of the more disgusting closer situations. It's better than, say, Minnesota or the Athletics, but not really too excited there. Speaking of not excited, Pete Fairbanks got lit up last night in his first start back from the relief appearance back from the paternity list, which his one before that was bad. They used him as an opener. against the Yankees, and he gave up 3 runs. And then Tuesday night against the Braves, gave up 3 runs, blew the save, took the loss. His ERA is now sitting at 10.80 with a 1.6 whip. I don't think he's necessarily in danger of losing his closer job, at least right now. But obviously it's not good. I mean, the last 2 innings, he's given up 6 runs, so hopefully he can turn it around. Just something to keep an eye on. If he, for some reason, did lose the job, I guess, why don't we see who came in the 8th inning last night? Oh, wait, yeah, that was the weird. Okay, I'm glad I remember that because that was the weird thing. He entered the game in the 8th inning. It was a closing situation, so I don't know if they had planned on using him. Yeah, here it is. Using him for multiple innings. But yeah, we saw Max Meyer pitch, and then, yeah, Peterson came in for 2 innings, and then, yeah, Fairbanks in the 8th. So that was kind of weird. Doesn't necessarily make me feel super good about Pete Fairbanks right now, but just something to keep an eye on. Brian Baker for the Rays. Ethan and I were just talking about him yesterday briefly. Got his 3rd save of the year. Literally just recorded the final out. Rays held an 8-3 lead heading in the 9th. I'm still on the Edwin Uceda train, but I definitely think Brian Baker needs to be owned until then, and possibly even still beyond that. 3 saves, leads the team. He's gotten 3 since all 3 have come since April 6th. I think, was it Baker who also, Scott, that's why we were talking about it, because Scott White said he'd been used in the 9th inning. This is prior to Tuesday night. Had worked the 9th inning in 5 of his 6 appearances. So I think Brian Baker is definitely the name to own, at least for now, until Uceda starts pitching and returning. Mark Leiter, this one's frustrating because I told you guys about him, picked him up, and then he proceeds to give up 4 runs his very next outing, or one of the next outings. But has looked good since then, struck out the side in his last appearance for tonight, or Tuesday night, and then got the save against the Rangers. So he still is probably the reliever you want to own for the A's, but like I said, other than the Twins, that's probably the one I like the least. Hogan Harris came in at one point, is just giving up so many walks. Now up to 12 walks in 10 2/3. Walked 2 more last night. I just can't trust him. And then, I mean, Sterner's pitched well, but they just don't use him in the late high leverage roles. Came in, gave up a hit over 2/3 of an inning, strikeout, but has plenty of holds. He has 5 holds this year. The whip is a little high, but it's kind of been more hits than walks. How did they? Let's see if I can find that game. Athletics. Here we go. Yeah. So, yeah, Sterner came in the 7th, relieving Jeffrey Springs, who had another good start. I definitely think he's a priority add if he's still in any of your leagues. And then Hogan Harris in the 8th. Like I said, the 2 walks. Elvis Alvarado finishes off the 8th, and then Mark Leiter comes in for the 9th. So, yeah, Mark Leiter. Don't really feel good about it, but I'd say he's the guy. And he's only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, so still available for essentially everybody. Alex Vesia, this was another thing Ethan and I talked about yesterday with Edwin Diaz dealing with his diminished velocity and who knows what else. Vesia struck out the side for his 2nd save, second in as many appearances. We saw him get the save April 11th. So I think this basically confirms that even with Tanner Scott having a good start to the year, that Alex Vesia is the guy. He absolutely needs to be owned. He's already 20, actually. Ooh. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Vesia is not owned in this league somehow. Oh, my. Who do I need to drop for him? Ooh. I don't want to drop Gus Farland. Sorry, this is a money league. I need to figure this one out. Vesia. Who? Like we're gonna drop. Do I drop Gus Farland? I was just saying I don't even really trust Gus Farland that much. Would I rather have him or Mark Leiter? Both pretty bad. Oh boy. Is there anybody else I can drop? Mick Abel's been too good. I don't really want to drop him. Well, I literally don't even have a bench hitter. Yeah, the injuries have just killed me so far in this league. I think we're going to go... Oh, no, because Gus Farland's gotten the last 2 saves. Mark Leiter. Oh, man, this is tough. I am shocked he hasn't been picked up in this league yet. This is my Yahoo league where saves matter, and this league is notorious for people going nuts for saves. And so... Oh, my. Yeah, this is tough. I think... Can I see their season? Yeah, why is it giving me these weird numbers? Let me see their 2026 stats. Neither have been good. Mark Leiter's been worse. I still think he's probably the guy, though. Clayton Beater. I think we're going to drop Gus Farland. I still have 3 moves left. I'm going to have to think about that. Because the weird thing with Diaz is we were talking about it. He hasn't been put on the IL. He hasn't, based on the comments we're seeing. Yeah, neither the Dodgers nor Diaz have indicated that he's hurt. They're just a little worried about the diminished velocity. And he did look pretty bad in his last outing, April 10th. Yeah, I don't know. Through a pregame bullpen session, could be available Tuesday. Well, clearly wasn't. Yeah, I'm going to think about that one. Hopefully he does not get picked up. Somebody actually offered me a trade. Why don't we look at this? Fielder's Choice offer a trade. Oh, cannot accept that. He's trying to take advantage of some injuries and bad performances. While I actually do like Jarren Duran, even though his batting average has been pretty rough, he actually really killed me in the league last year. Don't know how I feel about Zach Wheeler and the diminished velocity. Jackson Holiday, who we're going to talk about, is actually been pulled off his rehab with right wrist soreness as he's coming back from the fractured hamate bone. And then Connolly early just hasn't been that good. I guess he's actually pitching right now. He's given up 1 run, solo shot through 2 innings. For my best hitter, yeah, we're going to decline this. Anyway, I guess back to the news. Yeah, Alex Vesia. I think you should pick him up. We'll figure out what we're gonna do once the show's over. We've only got about 10 minutes left, and then Enyel De Los Santos for the Astros got a save. Now the Astros bullpen is just completely floundering right now, and clearly this would be temporary until Josh Hader comes back. If he comes back, like his normal self. But Brian King hasn't looked good. Brian Abreu hasn't looked good. So it may be worth a speculative ad. He's been fine so far. And then getting into some other news. So I mentioned the Kevin McGonigal extension, which I think he was going through a press conference when we started recording here. He has just been... I have been so impressed. And being a Tigers fan, try to watch him when I can. He's batting .311. 11 walks. Actually, let's pull up his baseball reference page. Yeah, 11 walks to 8 strikeouts, batting .311, home run, steal, 12 runs. He's played solid defense, whether it's been shortstop or third base. In ESPN, actually, what is he in Yahoo? Has he got? Yes, okay, so in Yahoo, he's gotten third base eligibility. He is not yet in ESPN, but it's only a matter of time. They definitely split him across both positions. So, considering the dual position eligibility, him looking good. He signed an 8-year, I think, $150 million. So he was smart to wait for Connor Griffin to do his thing. He just seems like the real deal. Anytime I've ever watched him, and so good for the Tigers to do that. The reason I kind of bring it up also is J.J. Weatherholt, basically his prospect. Well, I guess Connor Griffin kind of is too. But on Tuesday, Weatherholt had 2 home runs, 3 ribbies. Today he has a steal already, so he's up at 4 stolen bases, 4 home runs, 13 runs. Batting average down 227, but just 2 fantastic prospects who have been off to great starts. I think if I had to choose, and this is for redraft, probably both redraft and dynasty, I'd rather have McGonigal. I think he just has the higher floor, so especially for redraft this year, I'm sure he'll go through a slump, but I just trust him to have a higher floor than Weatherholt, and then I would still probably take him in dynasty too, but you certainly can't go wrong with either player. And then Connor Griffin, I really haven't seen how he's been since. He's been all right, batting $1.89, but is at least putting up some counting stats. Moving on, Mick Abel looked fantastic last night against the Red Sox, I believe. Yes, 7 scoreless, 10 Ks, no walks, only 4 hits. Has now thrown 13 or no earned runs in each of the last 2 starts against the Tigers and Red Sox. Definitely need to pick him up, I think, wherever you can. Twins are kind of just rolling right now. Their offense looked really good. Kind of getting into some injury. Well, actually, before we do injuries, Tatis. I don't know if he's going to do this very often, but he started 2 games at second base. And so in Yahoo, you only need 5 to get second base eligibility. You need 10 in ESPN. I'm not sure about CBS, but that would be very, very intriguing if he was able to get. Okay, I thought somebody picked up Alex Vesia. Yeah, that's gonna bother me. It would be very intriguing if he could get second base eligibility. Obviously, that's other than maybe third base, probably the weakest position in fantasy right now. So just something to keep an eye on. Not really anything you can do about it, I guess. But it's interesting nonetheless, especially considering he's a Gold Glove caliber outfielder. But I guess the Padres got to do what they got to do. Yeah, getting in injuries, we mentioned Jackson Holliday, another player who is going to be delayed from his injury return is Jackson Chourio, who this was a report from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Said Chourio's estimated return from a left hand fracture has been pushed back into early May when they were kind of talking about late April. So he was. I thought I wrote. Or yeah. There was a report that he participated in on-field drills. So I don't know if it's necessarily a setback per se. It's more just maybe slower recovery than initially anticipated. Either way, you obviously spent a second, maybe if you're like an early third on him, and you're going to have to wait a little longer. Nick Pivetta went in the IL with left elbow inflammation, which is really not good. This was a report from 10 a.m., so it's a good thing I did an afternoon show today. We had a lot of updates. Padres manager Craig Stammen said Tuesday that Pivetta underwent an MRI on his elbow, but the Padres are still waiting the results. So we don't really have an official timeline for his recovery yet until the full results from the MRI are shown. But like I said, it's probably not looking good. And so he's kind of had an up and down start to the season, putting up a ton of K numbers, but I think he might be should expect a kind of extended absence from Nick Pivetta. Noah Schultz did not have, I think Ethan even said he was going to walk 4 guys, and he did. I did not watch the game, but based on the analysis I heard, it sounded like, especially the first inning, there was just a lot of jitters. You know, it's his first MLB start. I'm sure he obviously just feels pressure of being, one of the top prospects in the system, stuff like that. Sounds like he settled down for the last few innings, but yeah, he pitched 4 1/3, 3 earned runs, 4 Ks, 4 walks. I'm not too worried about it. I still mostly feel the same about him that I did yesterday, where I think he's going to give you a lot of Ks, and probably if he can get rolling, we'll have better ratios than your typical tall flamethrower. This may be a little bit of recency bias, and my guess is he's probably more owned than Mick Abel. Yeah, he is, because in ESPN, 18% to 5, I think it was. I think I would maybe rather have Mick Abel, and we've seen good K numbers from him so far as well. But I think they're both fine. I'm not really worried about Schultz in any way. And I guess maybe if the only thing, I assume he's not going to get sent back down, and he'll have some chance to establish himself. So his next start would line up Sunday against the Athletics, who are still kind of scuffling and don't have Brett Rooker. So just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, not really the best debut for the kid. Josh Hader faced hitters in live BP. We just talked about how their bullpen's been in shambles. So if you drafted him to stash, he will absolutely be getting saves or be the closer once he returns, barring some setback or anything weird. Christian Yelich is out 4 to 6 weeks with a left adductor strain. We obviously saw this one coming. We initially thought it was a hamstring. This is kind of more your groin area, but yeah, he's expected to be sidelined until mid to late May. And so that's a tough one to lose. He was having a great season, batting .314, steals, 1 homer. So something to keep an eye on. Cole Henry. We were talking about Gus Varland and Clayton Beeter. I thought if there was anybody who could also maybe make an impact in the closer role there was Cole Henry, but he's got put on the 15-day IL with a rotator cuff strain, which usually that's not a good injury. And so I don't know if there was really I guess it was announced Monday, but just one we didn't get to yesterday with Ethan. Apparently the MRI revealed, there's a quote from the Nats manager, said nothing too serious, but I feel like whenever you see a rotator cuff strain, that's usually more on the serious side. Maybe the more interesting news, too, is Ryan Pepiot, who got hurt right before the season started with a hip. The Rays transferred him to the 60-day IL. So at the minimum, that puts him until late May. And this just seems like some weird stuff here. He threw a 25-pitch bullpen session Sunday. And then, according to manager Kevin Cash, his inflammation is, quote, doing better, unquote, but he still hasn't, quote, he still wasn't feeling like himself, apparently, after medication and downtime. So this just seems to be a who knows. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking more almost toward the All-Star break. This just seems like a weird deal where they're not really explaining anything else about it. Not really much you can do. I guess if there's a McAble or Noah Schultz in your league, please go pick him up. But you probably already had, Pepe on the IL anyway. Jose Barrios is starting a rehab assignment Wednesday. I don't know if I'm really super excited about that. And he's probably owned in a decent amount of, actually, I guess in ESPN he's only owned in 3.5%. I imagine that's got to be high, a lot higher. In Yahoo, no, only 5%. I think he's somebody potentially, if you don't already have him, an IL spot to look at. But, yeah, Jose Barrios, I was always big on him back in the day when he was with the Twins, but just never really quite panned out into somebody that was very, very good, especially last year. Yeah, put up a 4.17 ERA. K numbers were really down. Not that he was ever a super high strikeout guy anyway. So, just somebody to maybe keep an eye on. But, yeah, not really too confident in him. I guess that's pretty much all the time we have today. I spent a decent amount on that looking at Alex Vesia. I'm gonna have to decide that. We're gonna make a post here really quickly so I can make the important decisions, right? But thank you for joining another episode of the Warning Track. Like I said, I'll probably update you on Vesia tomorrow. Until then, I'm your host Clayton McMahon. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next time.
Watch out, it's the Warning Track.